51 BC, Egypt stands on the edge of chaos. Cleopatra VII. She was not just a queen, she was a master of politics, seduction, and survival. When Rome was the world's unstoppable superpower, Cleopatra faced a choice: submit or bend empires to her will. And she did the unthinkable. She seduced Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in the world, and later Mark Antony, another Roman titan. But her story is not just romance. It is a tale of strategy, betrayal, war, and one of the most dramatic deaths in history. Visual suggestion: Cleopatra on a golden throne. Roman ships on the Nile. Dramatic storm clouds. Cleopatra VII Philippa became queen at 18 after the death of her father Ptolemy XII Elite. Egypt's throne was no fairy tale. Her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, ruled alongside her, and he wanted her dead. Civil war erupted. Cleopatra was forced to flee Egypt, but she didn't give up. She knew the key to reclaiming her throne lay across the Mediterranean, in Rome. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria, pursuing his rival, Pompey. Cleopatra, determined and daring, had herself smuggled into the palace. Legend says wrapped in a carpet. Though some historians debate this, Caesar was captivated. Cleopatra's intelligence, political acumen, and presence impressed him far more than her beauty. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra regained the throne. Together, they had a son, Caesarion, officially Ptolemy XV, who was hailed as the heir to both Egypt and Rome's greatest general. Cleopatra ruled Egypt not as a puppet, but as a sovereign. She navigated alliances carefully, speaking multiple languages, engaging in diplomacy, and controlling Egypt's wealth, the richest in the known world. When Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC, Cleopatra returned to Egypt but kept her eyes on Rome. She aligned with Mark Antony, one of Rome's most powerful leaders. Knowing Egypt needed Rome's favor to survive, Cleopatra met Mark Antony in 41 BC in Tarsus, modern-day Turkey. Antony, dazzled by her charisma, wealth, and political skill, fell under her influence. Their union was as much a political alliance as a romance. They had 3 children together: Alexander Helios, Cleopatra, Selene II, and Ptolemy Philadelphus, but their love enraged Rome. Octavian, the future Augustus, declared war on Cleopatra and Antony. The conflict culminated in the famous Battle of Actium. In 31 BC, Cleopatra and Antony's fleet was defeated. Rome had conquered Egypt, but Cleopatra had plans even in defeat. In 30 BC, Antony committed suicide after false news of Cleopatra's death. Cleopatra followed shortly after, traditionally said to be by the bite of an asp. Historians debate the exact method, but all agree she died at 39, the last pharaoh of Egypt. Her death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the beginning of Egypt as a Roman province. But Cleopatra's legacy was far from over. Cleopatra was more than a seductress. She was a shrewd ruler who used diplomacy, intelligence, and courage to protect her kingdom. Her life reminds us that power is not just about armies, it's about strategy, alliances, and the ability to influence empires. From a teenage queen facing exile to a woman who shaped the politics of Rome itself, Cleopatra's story echoes through history as a testament to ambition, intelligence, and survival. In the end, empires fell, but her legend endured. Visual suggestion: sunset over the Nile. Roman soldiers marching, Cleopatra's golden statue standing tall.